Charges will not be filed against two Minneapolis police officers involved in the shooting death of Jamar Clark. Prosecutors say the officers feared for their lives when they shot the 24-year-old black man in November. Clark's death sparked months of protests. Al Jazeera's BC Andelieri joins us live now from Minneapolis. And BC, how is the city responding to this decision?
Good evening, Tony. You know, a lot of people that I've talked to say that they aren't surprised at all by the prosecutor's decision. There are several rallies scheduled tonight by civil rights groups who pushed for criminal charges to be filed against those police officers. One of those rallies is taking place right here behind me. You can see that there are a couple hundred people gathered here. You can't hear them, but I can hear them saying, "No justice, no peace." I spoke with an organizer here tonight, and that organizer tells me that they are planning for peaceful protests, but police are prepared for anything.
Criminal charges are not warranted against either Officer Mark Ringenberg or Officer Dustin Schwartzy.
Hennepin County Prosecutor Mike Freeman made the decision more than 4 months after 24-year-old Jamar Clark was shot in the head during a scuffle with police officers Ringenberg and Schwartzy.
Schwartzy said that as the officers approached Clark, Clark had, quote, this 1,000-yard stare, end quote.
In the early morning hours of November 15th of last year, Minneapolis police responded to a report that Clark assaulted his girlfriend. Police said he was also blocking paramedics from treating her. Officers also described Clark, who had alcohol and traces of marijuana in his system, as acting erratically. On Wednesday, Prosecutor Freeman spent more than 30 minutes laying out the evidence in the case. He also released witness and police video from the night of the shooting. Contrary to some witness reports, Freeman says the investigation found that Clark was not handcuffed during the confrontation. And Freeman says that DNA evidence supports claims that Clark refused to take his hands off of Ringenberg's gun.
Schwartzy then took his handcuffs out, but said he was not able to get them on Clark. In the ensuing struggle, Schwartzy dropped the cuffs. Ringenberg repeatedly told his partner Schwartzy, "He's got my gun, he's got my gun." Ringenberg recalled hearing Schwartzy tell Clark to let go of the gun or Schwartzy would shoot. Ringenberg heard Clark say, quote, "I'm ready to die."
However, the president of the local NAACP chapter questions the prosecutor's narrative.
So Jamar Clark's case isn't happening in a vacuum. It's a part of a pattern and practice of discrimination and abusive behavior that's been allowed to persist. It's also part of a pattern in which officers have been allowed to kill with impunity. But we stand today and we say we're not going to tolerate it anymore. They're gonna come.
Clark's death tipped off weeks of protests. Ahead of Wednesday's decision, the chief of police urged peace and calm.
We're peaceful, you know, nonviolent protesters. That's how we've always been. That's what we've always demonstrated. That's what we've always called for. But we let the city know that, you know, the blood is on their hands at the end of the day, and we don't have control for what happens. We're going to be out there trying to maintain the peace, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's in God's hands.
And the Minneapolis police chief said today that they have plans in place in case tensions here rise. Many businesses, I have to point out, many businesses in the neighborhood where Clark lived, that's on the city's north side, a predominantly black neighborhood, well, several businesses there have closed as a precaution. Tony?
BC, where does this go from here? Will Clark's family file a civil suit?
Well, I'm hearing rumblings about that, Tony, about the family filing a civil suit, but nothing has been confirmed. But I'm told by family friends that that's likely the next course of action. I can tell you right now that the federal government is investigating how police handled that shooting, as well as there being a Justice Department investigation in regards to how police reacted to protesters following the shooting of Jamar Clark. So the story here out of Minneapolis, it's far from over, Tony.
Yeah, that's for sure. BC Andelieri for us in Minneapolis. BC, thank you.